Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Vanessa, a naturopathic doctor at Brio Integrative Health Center. And while we just wait for a few more audience members to join us, I thought I'd just take the opportunity to bring up a few things that we're doing around the clinic, including Brio Bingo, as you've heard me speak about before. I've been having a lot of fun with this, and I just wanted to remind you that the contest goes until Father's Day, near the end of June. So there's lots of time to participate. And I did a video a couple of weeks ago to explain how it all works. If you're joining us for the first time, I encourage you to say hi, give me a like. I can't always see who's in the audience, so I love to hear about new names and where people are watching from. I'm just going to do a little recap from what I talked about last week. It was going to be a really long session. Also did application part. So this is kind of a two-part series, and today is all about how you can apply some of the things that we talked about. So the key takeaways from last week included how planetary health is instrumental to the future of medicine and ongoing food security, how nature's healing powers are incredible, and its complexity still escapes even the brightest minds. Food is medicine, and vice versa. Medicine is food. 80% of people outside the US continue to rely almost exclusively on traditional botanical medicine, and even 40% of prescriptions still come from plant extracts and compounds synthesized from plants. My main example was aspirin, which comes from white willow bark. Hi, Courtney. Lastly, using plants in their whole form is often more effective and carries fewer side effects, including risks of toxicity compared to their synthetic counterparts. So what I was trying to say is caring for our environment allows it to continue taking care of us. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. So if you want to get to the root of disease, the root cause, and this is foundational for naturopathic medicine, you don't need to look any further than the ground up. Plants can provide us with an analogy and also a source for cure. If I may offer an analogy, symptomatic treatment is like pruning or deadheading an unhealthy flowering plant when there's actually root rot. Interestingly, root rot can be caused by two different things. Overwatering your garden, similarly giving increasing amounts of what your body doesn't need and can't eliminate will smother it. Roots can die due to a lack of oxygen. And with different substances competing for absorption in our bodies, it's not only what you eat, or take in terms of supplements, but how you do it that counts as well. Another cause of root rot is fungus, which flourishes in soggy, oversaturated soils. Again, too much of a good thing can throw off the microbial balance, not only in the soil outside, but also in our own biological terrain. I'm now going to discuss some examples of things you're likely to find in your home, specifically in your kitchen already, to cultivate a stronger therapeutic relationship with plants. There were endless options to choose from, so I settled on 2 to 3. We'll see how much time we have. And I stayed with the root theme to keep us really grounded. So the first one I want to feature is turmeric. This herb or medicinal plant uh, is bright enough as it is, but I'm going to shine a spotlight on it. It's part of the ginger family and extensively cultivated and used in tropical countries, especially India. It's what gives curries and mustard their golden hue. And I went into my fridge today and confirmed that my French's mustard actually does indeed have turmeric. So turmeric is found in curries and mustards, and it's what gives it its bright golden hue and also a slightly bitter, pungent flavor. If you have a sensitive palate, you may even detect notes of orange and ginger. It is part of the ginger family after all. And if you stay tuned, ginger is the second herb that I'm going to be discussing. Ginger and turmeric are both really well known for their anti-inflammatory effects. But my goal today is to help you think beyond inflammation when you see and hear and taste these herbs. Turmeric can be used both internally and externally, so topically on our skin. But be forewarned, it does stain, hence its natural use as a dye. Buddhist monks continue to use turmeric as a natural dye for their robes. And you may consider using it in your homes as an alternative to artificial food coloring. To energize myself for today's afternoon talk, I made a fresh juice of orange, pineapple, turmeric, and ginger with a pinch of cayenne. And I was really careful to clean all the surfaces that came in contact with the turmeric, as it can badly stain. It's been known to leave yellow blobs on my light countertops in the past. Additionally, I've been caught yellow-handed. I forgot to bring my glove that I usually use when I'm working with turmeric to protect my skin because it can stain the nails as well. When I was creating a poultice. Poultice is a soft mass of plant material, and it's usually applied to the skin and kept in place with a cloth for pain and inflammation. So one summer, I was dealing with this really red, angry, tight swath of eczema across my neck. And just using what I had, which was a fresh aloe plant and some turmeric powder, I made a poultice. And it was quite miraculous what happened. I haven't been able to recreate such a strong effect since in my body, but it really convinced me that these things can work. And so I put the poultice on of the aloe gel and the turmeric powder, and overnight it got about 80% better. It was really shocking. It was almost like retreated back into my skin. And so that was one of my first experiences with the power of turmeric. Thinking about that experience that I had, I also think it's a good herb to have in mind when there's local pain and inflammation anywhere, as well as sunburns. You can either grate a piece of fresh turmeric or keep the pulp left over from juicing, like I created some earlier, and freeze it for future use. Or a powder would also work. Just a quick tip, when cooking with roots, so that's ginger and turmeric, horseradish, etc. The powder is about 3 to 10 times as strong, the dried concentrate, than the fresh. So you'll always have to use more fresh than dry. And as a starting point, I'll usually use 1 teaspoon of fresh turmeric or ginger to 1/3 teaspoon dried turmeric or ginger. So other uses of turmeric in cooking. It can also be used to preserve food from sunlight naturally, as it is an antioxidant. And internally, we need a lot of turmeric for a pronounced, really noticeable therapeutic benefit. So taking a supplement like curcumin, which is turmeric extract, is not a bad idea. I don't have a physical example of curcumin today, but I do have turmeric. So notice that golden hue. And I do, whenever possible, try to use organic spices just so that they're not irradiated. Here's the well-known yellow square of National Geographic. So if that is turmeric, then this card represents curcumin. It's a lot more concentrated and brighter orange. It's reminiscent, if you ever see it, of cheesy puffs or Kraft dinner. Amazingly, it's actually naturally like that. So curcumin is specifically the curcuminoid and plant pigment or flavonoid that gives turmeric its really bright color. It's believed to be the main active ingredient and non-toxic, even in relatively large doses. Due to its antiplatelet or blood thinning effects, though, I would caution against large doses for those with a bleeding disorder or those with child. Adding to the spice to food, though, shouldn't be an issue for pregnant women or those with difficulty clotting. Curcumin has been found to have comparable effects to hydrocortisone and the NSAID, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, phenylbutazone, which is commonly used in rheumatoid arthritis. 400 milligrams of curcumin is also comparable to 400 milligrams of ibuprofen. Some of you may know that as Advil or Motrin, and I think that's pretty neat. Curcumin, and to a lesser extent turmeric, the non-concentrated form, can be helpful for many chronic joint pains. But don't discount it for topical use either for pain. I mentioned earlier how it really helped with eczema, which is a surface issue, but also deeper down we have muscles and joints, and a poultice of turmeric can also be helpful for that. And how this works is that turmeric depletes nerve endings of substance P, which is a neurotransmitter or a chemical messenger that transmits a sensation of pain to our brain. In the notes, the summary of today's video, I'll make sure to include a recipe for golden milk, also known as a turmeric latte, which is one of my favorite ways to take turmeric. The fat and other warming circulatory spices really enhance our absorption of curcumin from turmeric because it is lipophilic. It is dissolved by fat. I was just looking around my home to see what other things, surprising things, turmeric might be found in. So we already mentioned the mustard, and if you have a curry powder. I also found this tincture, Turmeric Plus, and I hope to just show you some of the color. It's got a variety of other herbs in it, but largely all the hue is coming from turmeric. So I just watered it down with some water there. So as I was saying, so much of the literature is focused on the anti-inflammatory effects of turmeric, but it really offers so much more. Scientific studies have shown that this herb protects and improves liver function, hence its use in things like menstrual difficulties, diabetes, and high cholesterol. It aids digestion, it reduces gas, soothes peptic ulcers. For ulcerative conditions, a fresh juice of turmeric or tea may be more effective as it's actually making direct contact with the mucous membranes and coating them, as opposed to something that's in a capsule. Further, capsules get broken down later in the digestive tract. Further, turmeric is also a source of prebiotics. These prebiotics are food for our friendly gut bacteria, which are the probiotics. Turmeric is also antimicrobial, antioxidant. I mentioned how it helps preserve food naturally and even has some anti-cancer benefits. And I wanted to say for other herb nerds out there that I know turmeric and ginger are both technically rhizomes, but we often refer to them as roots because they're underground. Rhizome is actually a modified stem, a horizontal stem that's found underground. And in the summary, I'll also provide a recipe for ginger turmeric tea, which is a variation on the golden milk for those who don't want something as creamy or without dairy. And it integrates both of the herbs that I'm mentioning. So now on to ginger. This is an herb that's traditionally used for gastrointestinal complaints. It's also an excellent digestive aid and promotes the flow of saliva and gastric secretions like turmeric. Turmeric does this more because of its bitter taste. Bitter flavors hitting our taste receptors really promotes salivation. They both have very high concentrations of volatile oils. These are similar to essential oils, but not as concentrated. And these volatile oils soothe and settle our stomach and intestinal tract when there's cramping or trapped gas. Ginger keeps us going because it also detoxifies through its liver benefits and increases circulation to our extremities. So those with chronically cold hands and feet may apply to some of you listening today. I know that I have some of that Raynaud's. It really helps boost circulation and warms the body. It's probably not the best herb energetically for someone that tends to run hot, someone who's having some vasomotor symptoms of menopause. I like to use a lot of ginger in the winter. And ginger and turmeric have a lot of overlap, which is kind of why I decided to talk about them both today, to kind of help what is the word I'm looking for? To reinforce, right, the complementary relationship as they enhance the actions of one another. And not surprisingly, they also taste great as a pair. So ginger probably is most well known for its ability to combat nausea, sea or motion sickness. I've recommended it to patients who experience nausea, vomiting, and cold sweats with their migraines, and pregnancy too, including those with the most severe form of pregnancy-related nausea, which is hyperemesis gravidarum. And this form often requires hospitalization. It was really brought to media attention actually by Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, during some of her difficult pregnancies. In fact, ginger works so well that Gravol created an all-natural product that exclusively contains organic ginger. I really was delightfully surprised when I saw this in my local pharmacy. Since there's no antihistamine, there's no risk of making you drowsy, unlike the original Gravol, which contains dimenhydrinate. And both manage the symptoms of motion sickness comparably well. Similar to turmeric, ginger is also anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, cholesterol lowering, liver supportive, and its digestive and anti-inflammatory effects are attributed to a protease. Protease is a protein digesting enzyme, which makes it a go-to for those on a more inflammatory diet and with associated joint pain because of dietary choices, as well as just regular joint pain. And because of the protease, the fresh root will have more of the active enzymes and will be more powerful than the powdered root. So speaking of fresh, in this form, it contains the most gingerols. This is a form of oleoresin, or you can just think of it as a type of resin, that increases the uptake of calcium by the heart muscle. And more calcium increases the force of contractions of the heart muscle, giving it cardiotonic benefits for those with a weak functioning heart. Speaking of the heart, like turmeric, ginger can also have that antiplatelet or blood thinning effect. So I would caution its use in those with a tendency to hemorrhage and bleed. Also, those with a sensitive stomach may find that its heat is a little too intense. Its kind of spiciness can cause a burning sensation. So it's best used as a food or in a coated capsule to prevent feeling of heartburn. Also, if you have peptic ulcer or GERD, I would also be cautious with how much ginger I take. And I wouldn't put it on the skin like I did with turmeric. Although it won't sting, it's just such a circulatory stimulant, warming, that it can get quite prickly and even cause irritation and some dermatitis. Most studies do just use a standard dose of 1 gram of powdered ginger. So what does this look like? For dried, before we said that the comparison between fresh and dry can range from 3 to 10-fold. So in standardized studies, they say that 1 gram of dried ginger powder is about the same as 10 grams of fresh ginger root. And what that looks like is actually just a 1/4 inch slice, which isn't very big, of ginger, is effective and can create a lot of the benefits that we've mentioned thus far. So to recap, that's the anti-emetic or anti-vomiting, anti-nausea, digestive aid, anti-inflammatory. Just a 1/4 inch of ginger root can be all that it takes. And in case you're wondering, it is best to store ginger in the fridge. And in terms of choosing your ginger at the supermarket, find something with smooth skin. Something with soft spots, dry or wrinkled skin is not as fresh or healthy and won't have as many of those active enzymes that we really want. So in summary, when you think pain, Um, I'm hoping that you'll maybe think plant next time instead of pill, particularly turmeric, which inhibits substance P, and maybe the word paint as well because it can stain. So caution when you're using fresh. Also, when you think of pain, perhaps again you'll think plant instead of pill, possibly ginger, which contains proteases, those protein digesting compounds, and puke because of its anti-nausea and anti-emetic effects. We're almost getting to the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to hold off on talking about my third herb, which was going to be dandelion root. I talked about those rhizomes already, ginger and turmeric, that grow extensively in southeastern countries. So I wanted to bring it back to the west, where dandelion, a true root, it has a taproot system, is used in the Western pharmacopoeia of plant medicine. I will be sure to include that in my Facebook Live later this month on May 27th, so that's in 3 weeks. I'll be doing a session on simple herbal teas, vinegars, and elixirs for iron deficiency. So if you're interested in more botanical medicine content, please check that out. And just wanted to mention a couple more things that are going on in the clinic that I'm involved in. I am co-leading a virtual group detox with Dr. Jeff Lee starting this coming Monday, May 11th. It's the first time that we're joining forces, and I'm really excited about that. For this 10-day program, the cost actually goes entirely towards the medical food and supplement. We'll be volunteering our time and expertise for the launch. So it's a great opportunity if you've ever been interested in a metabolic detox. And right now, we're offering a 15% promotional discount if you sign up with a friend or family member, because it's always more fun and tends to be more successful when you have a buddy doing something with you. The deadline to join is this Friday, so if you're at all interested, reach out to us if you have remaining questions to help you decide. And if you know for sure you want to join, email info@yourbriohealth.com to get the rest of your registration completed. So I mentioned Brigo at the beginning. There'll be a new metabolic detox program launching this Monday at the clinic. And I think that's everything that I have for you today. Also, this weekend is Mother's Day. So some more plant appreciation as some of you may be receiving bouquets. And if you have time in amongst your activities on Saturday, I'll be doing a longer session that's at 12 p.m. Saturday, May 9th. It's a masterclass entitled Everything Eczema and the Healing Power of Clay. Once Dr. Lee and I wrap up this detox, we'll be shifting our focus to the Brio Eczema program, which we've been working on behind the scenes. I'm signing off, Dr. Vanessa Yu, herb nerd and naturopathic physician. Until next time, thank you for joining.